Hi, everybody. Look who I've got on my show today. I've got a celebrity here. I'm very proud to have Criptex on
Hello.
the channel today.
Yeah, right. How are
My
you,
niece,
Amy?
my niece is going to be very excited, Criptex. So she's only little, but she got into the Delphi case. I mean, she's not super little, clearly, but and she listened to a few of your videos and she liked your accent. So she's going to be very impressed that I've got you on my channel today.
Super cool. I'm very happy and thank you so much for the invitation, Amy. I've been following you since maybe 1 month, let's say, and I really like your work. The job you're doing is awesome in this case, and yeah, happy to be here. Thank you so much again for the invitation.
Oh, thank you so much for joining to Criptex. Obviously, I've been following you for a lot longer because you've got an amazing channel, and really just appreciate that you've really kind of given my channel a go. It's a tiny little channel, but yeah, I've seen you mention me, and that's really kind. So really appreciate that, and I really like your attitude to this case. You're really open-minded and analytical, and yeah, a really good guy in this, and smart too.
Thanks for that. Yeah, no, you deserve it actually, and that I started following you because I think in the past I saw some of your videos, but the one you did about the Dandelion lead sheet, the lost tip, that was
The lost tip
awesome.
narrative, yeah.
So I was just hooked. Oh my god, this is what a discovery! So I really love that. So it was great. Thank you for digging into that aspect. It was awesome.
It was just random, really. Like, I just looked at it and I was like, oh, let's read this on the screen. And then I'm like, wait a minute, what on earth is going on here? It was a big one, wasn't it?
Yeah, no,
That
no,
that
no.
find on the tip narrative. I think we've all been so curious about Doolan and what he had for so long. So, well, without further ado, I guess we'll get into the Bridge Guy video because it was interesting because I mean, I've watched this video so many times, as I'm sure you have, and all our viewers have. And by the way, hello everybody in the chat. I didn't even say hello. I'm too busy. I feel kind of nervous talking to someone on my channel. Usually it's just me talking. But yeah, I looked into the Bridge Guy video many times. I've watched it over and over, slowed it down, listened to it on the highest possible volume. And just was so hopeful that we'd find some clue in it, as I'm sure everybody is. And recently, though, I went back and looked for like whether many creators had actually talked in length about the video. And I mean, obviously, a lot of people have talked about it, but I just feel like I really would love to like analyze it. You know, not frame by frame exactly, but really kind of get into all of the different conundrums. It's such a big mystery. And I thought we'll put a hive mind together and see if we can kind of come up with some ideas about what's going on, what Abby and Libby are thinking. It's really sad whenever I start talking about Abby and Libby, I do get very sad. Like when I talk about the police stuff, we can get snarky and it's not funny, obviously. It's not funny that we're in this situation, but it kind of is distant from the victims. Whereas when you watch this video, when you look at the data about the phone, it just brings it home that these are two innocent girls in their last moments of their life. And yeah, it just makes me super sad. But I think that it is honoring them to make sense of their story. And I think this video does give us some clues in terms of maybe not necessarily what exactly happened, but in terms of maybe particularly Libby's mindset. So I've got some ideas on that. But yeah, I guess anything you want to start off with, I guess, Criptex, before we actually look at the video together?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. All right, now everyone's seen the video. I didn't actually know which one this is. There's lots floating around, and I'm not sure which ones are the enhanced versions or any of that. I've just got a basic one that I found on YouTube. So I'll play it. Also, Sarah, who's in the chat here, has given me frame by frame versions as well, which has been super helpful to look at. So Sarah, what is the like how many frames per second, or I guess I don't know what I'm asking here, but yeah, what does each frame represent? If you can let us know in the chat, that'd be good, because we can have a look at some of the frames too if we want to look at specific moments in the video. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to put the video up. And also, guys, the link is in the chat if anyone else wants to join. and have a chat with us. I think there are a few other people who are interested. Please feel free to hop on.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, the more of us talking, the better, rather than just
Sure.
us talking to a camera. All right, I'll pop the video on. Oops.
See, this is the path that we go down. There's no path going there, so we have to go down here. Hi.
Oops, I'm not sure what's going on, Criptex. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
I can't see us on the stage for some reason. Oh, I put this back on the stage again. 1 second.
Maybe it's the internet connection. I don't know.
There we go. We're back on the stage. So, yeah, I'm not great with the technical things, to be honest. So I'm not sure how I'm putting the video on at the same time as us. I'd like to do that, but yeah, I guess so many questions when we watch that.
A lot.
What are some of the biggest questions on your mind, Criptex, from the video?
A lot of questions. One of them is, in my opinion, we can hear some type of whispering next to Libby's phone. So I don't know if someone else is there next to Libby. Hard to say, but I think it's fair to take into consideration that there's something else there. I can hear some whispering. Someone is whispering to Libby. Potentially, I'm not saying it's 100% the situation, but I think it's fair to assume that someone is there. It's a guy, it's a girl, who knows? And what is maybe suspicious, I don't know. In my opinion, the girls, they went there to meet someone. That's my hypothesis here. And the fact that person that is whispering next to Libby is not captured by the phone, by the video, and the fact that she's whispering and not talking like in a loud volume, that indicates to me that it's like if that person was not supposed to be there with Libby. So Libby, potentially, this is just pure speculation, she didn't want to have that person in that video. Like, hey, if my mother watch this video, I'm gonna be in trouble because I'm not supposed to be with you here. So stay silent, don't talk. And maybe that's why she's directing the cell phone in some type of specific direction. You know what I mean? But again, it's pure speculation. But when I hear those whisperings, that's something that comes to my mind. So that's one of the first thoughts I have here, let's say. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's a question a lot of people have had around this video. Is there someone else there? Who is she talking to? Can we hear whispers? Can we see shadows? I initially thought, I feel like maybe there's someone else there, because who is she talking to? It doesn't seem to make sense. When I look at the shadows, I can't see anyone. And I think that's what, again, like you're saying, there's no one caught in the frame. Is it that I think that's a really good hypothesis there. I hadn't even thought of that maybe she's with someone she's not supposed to be with, because I had thought the same. If there is someone there, why wouldn't she capture them? But yeah, I don't know. I've had a little bit of a look at the shadows, and I don't see anything, but it's really hard because there's tree shadows as well. But you can see Libby's shadow, and I've got a few thoughts about that, which we'll talk about a bit later. I do hear something right at the beginning that sounds maybe like a guy saying yeah or hey or something. Like, you have to listen so carefully, but I did feel like I heard that before we hear the other whisper that seems like it's coming from Abby. And I've certainly heard other people say they feel like they can hear other whispers.
Right. It's hard. It's hard to conclude about what is Bridge guy saying. The other time I had in my channel a guy who worked in the JFK assassination case in regards of the audio stuff. Let's say he's like an expert in audio analysis. Let's say, and the conclusions he has about that were not very popular in my channel. People were kind of pissed, but it's just to say that it's hard to conclude. We can't just speculate. Uh, we all we are all of us watching at the same video, listening to the same sounds, and we have different opinions. We are understanding different things. We are watching different things, concluding different things. So it's kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's going to be so many biases based on our own personal experiences too. So I notice when I watch this, I think, well, what would I do in that situation? What would I be thinking? And so then I'm going to probably layer that onto the girls as well as to what they might do. And I mean, you do hear people say things like, well, why don't they run? Or why don't they do this? And why don't they do that? And I think really importantly, I think something that I want to spell out as a psychologist is that when we're in the fight, flight, freeze, fawn response, like we're in threat mode, there's an alarm that kind of goes off and there's this sort of involuntary reaction. And I do think that the girls go, particularly at the end, they go into the fawn response where they just comply. And Abby particularly seems really frozen. She seems like she's just, a deer in the headlights. Because I did find it odd that when Abby runs by, she may say something to Libby, but it doesn't, we don't hear a lot. And then there's no conversation between the two of them. So I just really think that already they're highly stressed. They're highly anxious at this point. And it's easy to imagine. It's like when you watch a horror movie and you're like, why did the person run outside or do that? It's like when we're in that state, we don't know how we're going to react. So yeah, I always like to go back to, these girls. I actually think they are incredibly brave and but I also, I really want to caution us from, which I'm not saying we're doing that right now, but anyone from saying, well, why didn't they do this? Or why didn't they do that? I mean, gosh, what a horrific situation.
Yeah, good point.
In terms of that whisper that seems to come from Abby, Criptex, what do you think she's saying?
It's weird because first of all, we know that this video was enhanced, manipulated, interpolated. I don't really know what was the whole case, what was the type of manipulation law enforcement made to this video. It's weird that the voice of Brice guy is really clear when he says guys or down the hill, and he's the one who is far away from Libby, but you hear it perfectly, And how can we say that the whisperings are from Abby? If Abby is talking to Libby, we're gonna hear it in a more clear way, in my opinion, because she's closer to.
It's not that far, yeah.
It's not that far, so I don't know. It's because law enforcement, they enhanced the audio of Brice guy for us to hear what he was trying to say, and they, for some reason, they didn't want to enhance Abby's voice. I don't know. So yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot of unanswered questions here, for sure.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, obviously, we've got the ridiculous, that beer gun statement that comes supposedly later. So yeah, it's shocking that they don't enhance the voices. I mean, I just imagine surely there are ways to understand a little bit better what they're saying. I suppose with Abby, I think when we hear that bit that sort of sounds like she says, is he behind me or is he there? It's still really hard to completely get. And it's also hard to know whether I just think she says that because somebody else has said that now. And so you hear what you think you've heard, like what somebody else has said. But it looks like her face is moving as she says that, but it's hard to know. You've got to like watch it and listen in close time. It's really tricky. But one thing I notice is that when she does potentially say, is he behind me or is he there? It's the exact same time that that Libby seems to start to turn around. So anyone who watches my channels knows I like to do my little field studies with my own phone and go around recording things and seeing what distances look like. And so I have been doing that with my buddy ChatGPT. I've been videoing myself at different angles, trying to figure out how Libby's holding the phone. And I think in this initial stage, you know, she sort of pans from the ground up. So I guess bringing my phone, she's sort of like, it seems like she goes like that with the phone. And I mean, lower, of course. I do think she's being covert. Remember, she's accessing the phone without unlocking it, which seems odd because she's been using Snapchat and Instagram and all of those apps before. There's no reason to access it that way because she's also on firm ground. So she should be able to easily access Snapchat. But also what you notice is the phone's like this, and then she turns around when she can see Abby looks kind of a little bit worried, and it looks like she then pans the phone like that, so onto the side, and then holds it like, so I guess if I was turning around, it's like this as she's walking away. So I had just a theory around this of like, she now knows, like she's already sensed that there's something a little bit sinister about this guy following them, and she can see her friend is distressed and struggling to get across the bridge. And the next thing you see is a shadow of Libby holding the phone actually up like this. And that actually corresponds with her saying, so this is the path that we go. At least that's what I think she says. And then Abby runs past and she says, go down. Like she kind of goes quiet. And I don't feel like she's talking to Abby then. She's turned her back at Abby. People say, is she doing a commentary on the phone? I had a theory today, so bear with me, guys, on this one. So when I go to this car park that I mentioned to Criptex when we first started chatting this evening, my colleague and I are here late. It's midnight, and it's midnight now, and there was someone in the car park when she went down to her car. So she's run back up and she's sitting in the kitchen while I do this, and we're going to leave together. And what I do when I go to the car park late at night is I pick up my phone and I go, oh yeah, I'll meet you. Are you just outside the gate? Sure. Yeah. I'm just sitting in the car. Like I literally say things as though I'm talking to someone imaginary who's outside the gate. Because I think, well, if there's some crazy person here that's going to kill me, they're going to think that, you know, my boyfriend or my whoever, my friend, is just a minute away. And I just thought, I mean, is that a possibility? Is Libby recording it thinking Bridge Guy will see we're here to meet someone, we're going down this path and our friend's just there waiting for us? It just came up in my mind as to whether that could be a tactic she's using to, as Bridge Guy gets closer, to say, it's okay, we're meeting a friend here. I don't know. It was just a thought I had today.
Yeah, no, it's a great thought. It's possible, you know. We have a bucket of possibilities, and that makes sense as well. It's not crazy at all. It makes sense. It's very plausible. Sounds logic. Yeah.
Well, and that's just what I thought. It just suddenly came to me. I've watched this so many times, and I was literally walking around waiting for my friend at dinner and doing my little recordings. People must wonder what I'm doing with my phone, recording the ground and things. And I just thought about it, and I was like, that's something I do anytime I'm anywhere a little bit dangerous. I'm actually not usually a very fearful person, but since I've been looking at this case, and you know, when you get deep into crimes, you start to imagine the worst. And I definitely have noticed myself looking over my shoulder a bit more, even though I live nowhere near in Indiana. I do worry because obviously some of the things I say go against probably some important people in Indiana. So you start to think, oh my gosh, people could be out to get me. I don't think so. Not on the other side of the world. But we might just go to the chat actually, because I have been ignoring you guys in the chat. I've had your comments on the screen, but everyone knows I have a tiny laptop, so I can't read them on the screen. Criptex, have you been reading any of what people are saying?
Let me go through the chat.
We can go through. Yeah, let's have a little look. Hello, everybody. I can see lots of people in here that join my lives a lot, and I really appreciate them. So I won't say hi to each and every one of you now. Sorry, guys, because I know that we're deep in the conversation, but I appreciate you all.
Chester says the girls were the same height as Richard Allen. This guy looks quite a bit taller than the girls.
Oh, that's a contentious issue, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Because I mean, all sorts of people have done different analyses of this, and some people come up with 5'6", some people come up with 6 foot. I've seen various ideas. Yeah, any thoughts on that?
I think that for law enforcement institution, let's say, it wouldn't be hard to do the determination of the height, and even
You would
for
think so.
it's you hire an expert, and for sure they're gonna determine the height in a very precise way, let's say. And I don't understand why they didn't do that, because what we learned during the process of Richard Allen is that that height analysis, the cost to do that type of analysis was like $10,000, and they didn't do that. Why? So I don't understand. It's maybe because they knew that the outcome of that analysis wouldn't be like in favor of their own conclusions. I don't know. Because at the beginning of the case, when, if you remember the billboards, the height of the guy that they were estimating was close to 6 feet. That changed over time. So I think the other time we have Osbrook in my channel, and he said that the defense, the appealing attorneys, they are doing that type of height analysis determination, let's say. And it's something that I really don't understand why it was never done. And even for the defense lawyers during the process, is something that it could be like in favor of Richard Allen, and no one cared to do it.
It's a little bit like the geofencing stuff, where it's like it must help one side or the other. It can't not help either side. It's like either this guy looks pretty short, because Rick Allen is significantly shorter than the average height, or it doesn't. And it's the same with the geofencing. Either Rick's phone is in the geofence or it isn't. Like and Holman's whole, it was in there later that night doesn't make sense, as I've talked about. So it's just, I don't understand why neither side looked at this. If it's only $10,000, like that's actually not a lot. I mean, we could crowdfund that in literally a few hours, as we've seen by some of the other people who've done that. Like people could easily get that done.
Exactly. So yeah.
I mean, it's hard to know. I'm just going with like looking at it. It's hard to know because this person's quite portly around the stomach, but that could also be clothing. It's so tricky because
the body position he's doing like that, like so he looks shorter than he is actually. He's like, the body positions is, if he's walking like that, okay, it's another thing, but you know what I mean. So,
and it's hard to know if that hat is a hat or if it's hair or is it a hood. Like, is it off the top of his head? It's tricky, isn't it?
And the boots, there are some platforms in the boot to make him taller than he actually is. Yes, there are a lot of factors there. Yeah.
Look, you know that I am pretty much, right to 100% nearly that Rick Allen is innocent. However, I don't like the images of the bridge guy because I think it could fit with so many men, and I wouldn't conclude purely from that. Like, I know when I first came into this case, not knowing a lot of the evidence, when I was more on the fence, I was like, that kind of does look like it could be. However, I also am very aware that that could also be many, many men in Indiana. So, it's not a particularly unique kind of image of a person. It's not like it's somebody wearing some special fashion item or something where it'd be a lot more obvious. So it's so frustrating, isn't it? We just can't see from that picture.
It is. And people, let's say, I think that and this is for another show, let's say, but in my opinion, Richard Allen may be involved. But let's say if I want to compare Richard Allen with Bridge Guy, I'm going to do a perfect side-by-side. If other person thinks that the Bridge Guy is Ron Logan, they're going to do a side-by-side and it's going to be a perfect match. If other person thinks it's going to be Keegan Klein, you're going to have a perfect match. So the side-by-sides here are just useless. So yeah, you can do it like an exercise to try to figure out some stuff, but at the end is yeah, you cannot conclude. Side by sides here is the Gray Hughes. He has the worst side by side ever in this case. Richard Allen and this guy, and he's saying it's perfect. It's not even close. It's the worst side by side ever. So I don't know. It's
but if you say it with conviction,
so?
I think with Gray Hughes, if you say it with conviction and you talk to people as though you know better, people start to believe it, I guess. I don't know. You know, I see that. It's the same with the cars and anything where people will go, that's the exact car. And people will make the story fit, won't they?
Yeah. Right. Or with the voice, the same.
Yeah, exactly. The amount of people who say that.
Exactly.
So, I kind of think with this as well, though, like actually, if you were saying that, like they could recreate this image. The bridge is still there, and you know they could actually try to recreate this image. And again, I'm not saying that it'd be an exact science, but it would probably give some clues. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think so many of us have tried to measure, you know, pains and things, and you know, I've put it through AI a few times and got different answers and things. So it's a tricky one.
I'm not saying that it's not it's something that we shouldn't do, but we have to be careful with the conclusions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of disagreement going on in the chat about this. Look, all opinions are welcome. You know, I'm sorry that we're not putting all of the comments up. Certainly, definitely very interested in what everyone has to say. It's a little bit hard to concentrate on the comments and on us talking. So I hope everyone appreciates that. But no theories are off the table here, everyone. Because no one's an expert here. None of us have the information. That's why it's such a big mystery, really.
Yeah, sure.
One of the other observations I make about the video is Bridge Guy himself and how he's walking, and he just looks like he's strolling. Like, I don't know, when I see him, he doesn't look particularly scary or sinister. He looks like he's it looks like a middle-aged man or an old man, just with his hands in his pockets walking on the bridge. And yes, he's close to the girls, but yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on how he's walking and what he looks like?
If we take only the video to conclude about that, I tend to agree with you. It's not someone like is rushing after the girls. It's not. Yeah, you cannot see that type of demeanor. He's like walking in a casual way. I'm not saying it's just an innocent way to walk based on the proximity to the girls, but I don't see him like a danger. If we talk only about the video without considering any other information we have about the case, but yeah, I tend to agree with you. Even the way he talks guys down the hill, it doesn't sound like a threat. You know, it's like guys, is he talking to the girls? Is he talking to other people there? In my theory, there are other people waiting for the girls. This guy is the one conducting the girls to other people. But coming back to your question, I don't see that. I don't feel the danger in his voice, let's say, or in the way he walks down the hill. It's not like, guys, down the hill. No, it's not that. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, no, yeah, you don't get that sort of sinister vibe. And yet, as soon as he says down the hill, and we can go back and look at the video again in a minute, Abby literally moves like instantaneously. I almost queried, you know, was she pushed? But I don't think she lurches forward, but she moves instantaneously, which is where, you know, I may actually agree a little bit with law enforcement. I don't usually agree with them, but I do believe, we talked about this yesterday on my live, like they weave some facts in with their untruths. And you know, I do wonder if there is a gun, because something scares those girls, because they comply straight away, and that seems a little bit odd to me.
And it would be stupid to say that everything that law enforcement is saying is wrong, because that shows that you are really biased in your research. You know, I agree with you, and I'm very critical in regards of the law enforcement way they do the investigation here. It was a tsunami of mistakes here. It's the worst investigation ever. But of course, some elements that are presented by law enforcement are correct. We cannot be blind and say everything they are saying is wrong, because it doesn't help to your research. You know what I mean? It's we have to at least to try to be fair and balanced in our research and our conclusions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And actually, that's something I really respect about you, Criptex, because you are one of the rare channels, I think, that I found that isn't overly biased one way or the other. I mean, everybody who watches my channel knows that I believe Rick is innocent now. However, I've also been criticized for flip-flopping, but I don't actually think that's a criticism. I think that's actually just me not being willing to lean too heavily one way or the other until I had way more information. And so, yeah, I do also think that if you want to be crafty, like I do believe some people in this investigation were, then the craftiest thing to do is to, I think someone in my chat yesterday said, weave truth and lies together. Because then you don't show. Like, obviously, if I say to you, oh, you've gone green, Criptex. Not sure. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. It's my father was calling me, so every time I read it, because I use my cell phone as the camera. So if some cell phone call enters, I go green on the screen.
Okay. But yeah, like, I mean, if you're gonna,
it's maybe gonna happen a couple of times.
Oh, yeah, no worries at all. But yeah, like, so if you're going to lie, don't lie about everything, because then that looks clearly like a lie, you know. So yeah, I actually think there's some, if there is wrongdoing, deliberate wrongdoing in this, they're not going to deliberately do wrongdoings with everything, because otherwise that's going to look really, really obvious. So, yeah. I put the comment on the screen from see-through, and I agree with this. You can see Abby's hand flinch, and you do notice her hand kind of clench a little bit. So yeah, my sense is that there's some sort of weapon or threat that makes them comply immediately. And whether Abby already knew that as she ran past Libby, or whether that's discovered at that point when he comes off the bridge, I don't know. What are your thoughts on whether they had an interaction with Bridge Guy earlier than the Bridge Guy video? Like, do you feel like they had some interaction with him, like, earlier on in the bridge or at some other point?
Hard to say, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
When we see that picture that was uploaded to Snapchat at 2:07, when we can see Abby alone in the bridge, to me it's like Bridge Guy is not in the scope at all. So was he hiding somewhere? I don't know. So it's like an indication that before that encounter, let's say, they didn't have any interaction. And also when Abby talked to him, when she said, but not Abby, Libby, when she said hi or ha, I don't know exactly. To me, it's like the first time she talks to him. It's not. So I don't know. And
I'm with you on that. Yeah. I was actually watching people's videos crossing the bridge and kind of trying to gauge the time and things like that. And obviously I've looked a lot at the knowledge C data, and everything seems really normal up until about the 2:07 mark. Like, they're on Snapchat, that picture. I know obviously that picture has a lot of queries associated with it not being in the cache. I don't know that that's that odd. I think that there's probably some legitimate explanation for that, given I don't see any anomalies in the knowledge C data set in terms of tampering. And my take is that they take that picture, and maybe that's when he starts to, like, after that point is when he starts to appear on the bridge, and they keep walking in. Abby's scared of this bridge anyway, you know, and it's I mean, when you look at the stretches of gaps between the panels, like, gosh, I'd be scared too. So I think even though she does take quite a long time to cross that bridge, I think they stop for photos, they stop to look, and then I think Libby kind of walks ahead because she's a bit more confident. And then he appears, and he is walking faster. I did notice, I think a few people were saying in the chat, like, is he really fast? I don't know that he's really fast, because I literally timed people walking from that final trestle to the end, and it's not a lot. It doesn't actually take that long. So he's probably maybe, I don't know how many seconds, we can watch the video again and look at that, but he's a few seconds behind Abby. So I don't think that he's going that fast, but I think he's certainly more confident on that bridge than Abby is, and that's why he gains on her quite quickly. But clearly he didn't gain on Libby that quickly, because she was already over taking the pictures, the video. So I kind of looked at whether it took them a bit too long to come between 2:07 and this video starting, and it's a lengthier time than maybe some people would cross. I think that should have taken maybe about 3 or 4 minutes with someone confidently walking, and it seems to take Abby about 6 minutes. But I think that she's probably just a bit nervous, and then if she notices this guy behind her, that might have made her more nervous. I don't know the girls, but I get the feeling that of the pair, Abby's the more anxious, sort of nervous one, and Libby is more self-assured and confident, and like a bit feisty, but like in a really positive way. Probably like me, I'm feisty. Like she's not as scared, and so I feel like that would be an explanation. I know Libby's been on the bridge a few times, so I don't think that they know this person, and I don't think that they've had any interaction with this person. And I agree with you, when she says hi, it does sound like she says hi.
And even maybe before the bridge guy appears on that bridge, maybe they were, I don't know, in the middle of the bridge, talking, watching to some areas, trying to, I don't know, take some pictures. So maybe they didn't cross the bridge right in one shot. You know what I mean? Maybe they stopped at one point just to, I don't know. We don't know.
To take in the view. I mean, it is a really pretty view.
Exactly.
So I don't know if you caught my video yesterday, Criptex, about the Instagram photos. I actually will do an updated video, because I found another video of somebody standing at Trestle 1 and turning around and taking a picture. And those Instagram photos are literally the view from Trestle 1, like just if you walk off that first trestle and take a picture over the creek. And so clearly, like, there are beautiful vantage points that lots of people take pictures at, or they look at and they take in. It's a beautiful scenery. So,
Sure.
My take on the girls' activity that day is a little bit different to yours, Criptex. I don't believe they were there to meet someone, which I've gone back and forth on this, definitely. But now the reason I don't is because I feel like they're there at, what is it, like 2:15 now. They're meant to be picked up, I believe, around 3:30. Is that right? I think that's when Derek was meant to get there. So that gives us about an hour. If they were going down the hill to meet someone, then, that would be another maybe 15, 20 minutes down the hill, back up again and across. I mean, it's possible, but I think the timing's tight. My theory was more that they're pretending that they're meeting someone down there to maybe make Bridge Guy think, we're safe, we're meeting our friends down here, you don't need to worry. But it's hard to know, because even the wording, isn't saying that specifically. But, it's just so confusing, isn't it?
Yeah, I understand your point, but I still think that they were there to meet someone. And I understand your point about the time. It's not going to be enough time to share with another person based on the Derek German arriving timing, let's say, to pick the girls up. But I always do my connection with the Keegan Kleins and the Anthony Shots stuff. And in one testimony of one victim of Keegan Klein in the CSAM process, not in the Delphi's process, but in the CSAM process, she says that Keegan Klein, she was trying to meet her and trying to obtain her address to give her some presents, Victoria's Secret presents, shoes, I don't remember exactly. I have the transcript somewhere. So that could be one option. Hey, I have some gifts for you. I'm gonna be in the bridge at the other side. Maybe it's gonna be an opportunity to meet in person, and I'm gonna give you that gift. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think that's the thing. There's just so many possibilities really out there. And nothing ever fully adds up. It's not like we can say, well, it was only 20 minutes before they were being picked up, so definitely they couldn't have been meeting someone. But then also the comment where it's like she's talking about going down the hill before Bridge Guys got there. It's like, why is she talking about that? It's just like every rabbit hole you go down, you're like, there's pros and cons for each of them. And I mean, we haven't gone through my slides today. I got ChatGPT I've chatted to ChatGPT about all my hypotheses and questions and got it to create some slides. But I think the organic conversation is more fun and better. But yeah, like there are just so many hypotheses you can come to, right, with this video. Like, what is going on? And some people think that the video is actually just like Libby's not even worried. She's just doing a little vlog or something. I mean, I don't agree with that. I do think it's covert. But yeah, there's just so many unanswered questions.
There are. And I disagree with most of the people here. I know that Libby saying that be a gun, it doesn't make sense in the context of the sentence, because she says this is the path, that be a gun. It wouldn't make sense.
No, logically, no.
But I hear that be a gun. I have to be honest. That's what I hear. That be a gun since the beginning.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
And well, I heard.
Yeah, I have to say when we first had it released, I remember hearing it too, hearing that big gun. And then, you know, when you put it together, I'm like, no, it's not that big gun because of the context. So yeah, I can definitely see both sides there too.
Yeah, and I don't know if maybe you can do the experiment I did. I sent the video to a lot of people that they don't know anything about the case, asking what do you hear here? I'm curious about your thoughts. And the answers I received were just crazy. No one said
really?
that they are gone. No one said the path that we go down. So
really?
we have already some preconceptions in our minds. If you can do that in your country or with your friends, people that they don't know anything about that, let me know what. Because in my case, when I did that, I think I sent the video to 10 persons, to 10 people. Nothing related to that be a gun, nothing related to the path we go down.
So interesting.
Yeah, it was like a little social experiment I did.
I love it. You know, I love these sorts of experiments. I think the hard thing as well, though, is when you watch the video, it's just over so quickly as well, and you have to listen so carefully. Like, you know, and a lot of us have listened to it probably like hundreds of times. Some of us, I know I have certainly gone over and over and over it. But yeah, no, I'll definitely try it out. I'll see if I can get anyone interested. Most of my friends just don't want to hear about Delphi anymore because I'm clearly quite obsessed. So I just had, so my friend who works at the clinic with me is one of the psychs on our panel, Ash, and I just had her looking at it, but, you know, she's obviously biased already because I've talked a lot to her. And I can't help but tell her what I think before I even let her say anything. That's my ADHD mind that just jumps in and needs to like have this urgency to get something out. But I can see a few people have some theories. So should we put one up on the screen? So USA Libertarian says, hi, sounds exactly like strangers saying something to a girl. She responds politely, yep, we agree. I think that was kind of what we were talking about. But let's look at See-Through's theory. So my theory, the girls never intended to cross the bridge completely. They walk to the platform, then head back to north before they get to the end. BG enters the bridge, then makes a U-turn. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's have a look at the next part. And it closes his distance because they head back into him. That would make sense because it does seem to take them a slightly longer time to cross the bridge than I've seen in some of the videos of people crossing it. So, yeah, any thoughts on that, Criptex?
I really don't understand well the point. It closes the distance because they head back into him? What does it mean? It's my
I think me a minute to get my head around. I think what they're saying is like, let's say, so they're crossed up to here, and bridge guys like starting on the bridge, and they're walking back, but then they would need to make the U-turn, wouldn't they? So maybe he then says to them, turn back, we're going across the bridge. So maybe they have had an interaction with him.
That's interesting.
I mean, one of the reasons as well that I don't think that they've had an interaction with him is that we've got this space where the phone isn't active between 207 and the bridge guy video. And I kind of think, so if Libby was super scared, wouldn't she have got the phone out of her pocket a bit earlier and texted someone? You know, it almost seems like she only gets scared when she gets to the end of the bridge, turns around and goes, oh my goodness, this guy's, you know, really closing in on us. Because where he's standing, from my estimation, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone who's done this, I've watched too many videos now, I can't remember, but I think it's only like 10 or 15 seconds from the end of the bridge. That's actually not that far away. So maybe that's why she doesn't feel comfortable at that stage sending a text or making a call, because she thinks he'll see the phone. But I don't know. I mean, that's another question I have in my head. Like, why is she recording and not opening her phone and texting or trying to call emergency services? I don't know.
That's a great point. Why not calling 911, no? Or something like that? Or
Yeah, which is why I sort of thought maybe she just isn't super suspicious. And then she starts recording thinking, maybe this is a bit dodgy. But then, you know, is still kind of on the fence about it. I don't know. It's you'd think that most people would call, but then again, also they're in a really isolated place, and she probably knows that even if she calls the police at that point, no one's going to get there soon. But still, surely someone could get there. I mean, she doesn't know what's going to happen. She doesn't know that potentially they're going to be murdered within the next, you know, half an hour potentially.
Yeah, and we know that Libby was she was really bright, so we would expect for her to do something like that, you know. So yeah, I got your point. So, and I agree with you, 100%.
I mean, I guess this is kind of deviating from the bridge guy video, but any thoughts, Criptex, on, you know, the pattern after they go down the hill? Do you feel like they cross the creek? Do you feel like they're murdered quite quickly? Like, any thoughts? You feel the bodies are moved?
I have a lot of thoughts about that. I think that at least Libby, she crossed the creek with the guy. In my theory, there were people waiting for the girls at the other side of the bridge.
Yeah, I agree.
Something happened there, and to me, there's still a possibility that Abby was abducted, and that Libby, maybe she was running, she was scared, she was trying to escape. She ran across the creek. One of the guys went after Libby, trying to catch her, let's say, and the other one, he could live with Abby. This is one of the possibilities I see here. But for sure, at least one of them, she crossed the creek, and I think it was Abby for sure. I'm not so sure about Libby crossing the creek, and but maybe both of them crossed the creek with the guy. So I still have my brain turning around that question. Is a great question for sure.
Yeah, I think initially I also wasn't sure whether Abby might have gone somewhere else. I mean, I guess we always had based everything on this phone data, the Apple Health data, but that obviously doesn't necessarily tell us what happened with both girls. It potentially tells us what happened with one girl who was carrying it, but even then, it's dropped at the crime scene. You know, it's hard to know when it was placed there. As in not placed there, I feel like the phone was there all that time, but yeah, could the bodies or the girls have been moved? I mean, I tend to adhere to this idea that the phone, you know, comes into contact with cold water and has that shock around 4 minutes after the end of the video, around 2:18. And I had a little bit of a theory around why the phone then seems to sort of reactivate for a bit and then completely die. And it's a very morbid theory, but it's suggesting that the phone is under Abby's body, and the body heat kind of helps it stay alive for another couple of hours until her body heat drops, and it drops. But it's pure speculation based on the phone data, which obviously we don't know exactly why or where the phone was dropped. So
I think
that's
sorry. No, sorry. Yeah. Your point is valid, and it's consistent with the cell phone behavior. And coming back to your question about the girls crossing the creek, I think it's one of the possibilities here is that, I don't know, maybe they were really scared at one point and they split ways, let's run, we have to go out of here. So maybe Libby, she took the river, the creek way, and Abby took another way. One of the perpetrators went after Libby and the other one went after Abby. That's one of the possibilities I can see here. But I agree with you about the cell phone data. The activity is consistent with the cell phone being in contact with water or with a cold surface, and that's why the battery depleted really fast at that point.
It's the only explanation that I could really find that explains the movement data stopping, the kind of interruption, and then that battery dying. And I think people have said, but there was no water damage, but I'm not suggesting that it was necessarily fully submerged, but a splash of that freezing cold water would certainly, could certainly impact the phone. And I do believe they crossed the creek. And again, this is not a popular opinion. But if we read the testimony, the shoes are described as having soil throughout the fabric of the shoe. Also, we know that the items have certainly gone back into the creek at some point, or some of them have, so they could have been somewhat washed. And I don't believe the creek during that in that sort of crime scene area was sufficiently deep. We see the searches and they're maybe sort of knee deep, maybe even thigh deep, but I think it wouldn't have been an easy thing to cross, but I think it's possible that they could have crossed it. And I definitely agree with you that I think there's multiple offenders here, and that could explain also why the injuries were different. Why Libby had a very different injury to what Abby had as well.
Yeah, and not only that, the whole theory that suddenly changed from the state about the murder weapon, because initially, or about the nature of the injuries, because initially the way they described sorry, it's my father again.
No worries.
I lost my thinking. What am I talking about?
Injuries, yes.
Yeah, they said according to the nature of the injuries inflicted to Libby, that is consistent with two different murder weapons, But at one point, when Richard Allen confessed about the box cutter, they changed their theory. The injuries now, they are consistent with the box cutter. So to imply that could be done by one single person instead of multiple perpetrators. So that's kind of fishy here. So yeah.
A little bit like the van and the Brad Weber's timing that's changed how many times, right? It's just, they really are very much trying to just find things to sort of fit the story now for Rick being the perpetrator. Yeah. I mean, I still think with the tree limbs being heavy, managing two girls, doing all of that stuff, I honestly do believe there has to be more than one person involved.
Yeah, sure. And as you say, the lack of defensive injuries, I can understand that if you are just one girl, and but they were aware of the perpetrator, so your first reflex is to protect yourself. You're gonna have some type of injury in your hands, in your body, a defensive injury for sure you're gonna have. So to me, it's like unlikely that there was just one perpetrator committing the crimes here. And this is just as you say, a lot of elements here is like it feels like law enforcement is trying too hard to fit those elements to the state narrative. You know what I mean?
And a little bit like what we were talking about earlier, where when you're putting two figures next to each other and saying, see, they match, it's like they do it with such confidence. Again, McClelland particularly very confident, we definitely got the right person. When you see the interviews of him on some of the channels after the trial, it's like, duh, of course we got the right person. And Holman as well, of course. They make it like, you're so stupid for not believing that we got the right person. Like, how could you be so silly?
Yeah, exactly. There are a lot of arrogance, a lot of ego, and this investigation was crap, and that's why we are still talking about that. When you think about cases like, let's say, John Bennett Ramsey or the West Memphis Three, why are we talking today about those cases? Because the investigation was crap. So there are a lot of unanswered questions. So you cannot say that people having different theories, other theory different from the state theory, they are just stupid. And in this case, people are acting like that in both sides. The pro-prosecution guys are, if you think that Richard Allen is innocent, you're really stupid. You don't have one single neuron in your brain. And in the other side, if you think that Richard Allen is guilty, you're very stupid. So I think we should have a little bit more of a flexibility here, because there are a lot of unanswered questions. So let's listen to the points of the other guys, and let's see if they're making sense or not. And let's try to figure out stuff here. But today, a lot of questions that are not clear.
No.
The answer is not clear at all.
Exactly, which is why I just don't think anyone should be calling anyone. Well, I don't think anyone should be calling anyone dumb or stupid in the first place in any regard, but particularly in something so complicated like this. Like, nothing is obvious. Nothing is so clear that, it's beyond, looking at it and analysing it. So I think we're on the same page with that for sure. I'm mindful of the time, Criptex. Do you have longer to stick around for a bit longer?
I'm okay. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just double checking. I was just thinking, so going back to the video, because gosh, we could go off on so many. I'd love to do a whole series of videos with you, Criptex. We can chat about this. I'm always desperate to talk to people about this stuff. But yeah, I guess if we go back to the video and look at some more of the questions there. The other thing that we hear potentially Abby say, when Libby turns around, you hear, it sounds like a sort of squeal. To me, it sounds like a don't leave. And again, I don't know if that's because I've heard people say that's what it sounds like. Do you hear anything in those words? Like, it sort of sounds like a little bit more high pitched.
When exactly?
Well, maybe I'll play the video again, actually.
Yeah.
I want to see if I can actually just put the video up at the same time that we're on the stage. Can we do that? No, wait a minute. Oh yes, here we go. So it's just going to be after this. So just listen carefully, everyone, and let me know if anyone hears this. So just there, did you hear it? It sounds like "Don't leave me." I'll go back again. It's so hard to hear, isn't it? It sounds like a "Don't leave me." Like, that's how it sounds. But I mean, it could also just be like a sneeze, or it could be another nature sound. I mean, "Don't leave me" sounds to me like a very good possibility, because obviously Libby's turning around and Abby could be like, "Don't leave me." She's freaking out at this point. But I mean, this is why it's so hard. You're just like, please, if I turn up the volume, can I hear something better?
I mean, it's not inconsistent. Could be very well.
Yeah. I'm just looking in the chat. Sorry, guys, if I'm missing so many of your messages in the chat. I will go back and look at them after. But Charlotte says she does say, "Don't leave me up here." C3 says, "Don't leave me up here."
Sounds likely.
Yeah, a few people saying sounds likely. Sounds like she's saying something. USA Libertarian sounds like they're giggling. Yeah, it's hard to know, isn't it? Because there is that sort of sniff that almost sounds like a like, but it's hard to know, is it a sniff or is it initially when I watched it, I didn't sense the fear as much, but when you put together the covert kind of recording that's happening, then I was more inclined to see it as just a sniff. But yeah, definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
Big JD, what if she is trying to be cool, calm because the cute boy was there? Yeah, possibly. And hi, Charlie. Nice to see you. USA Libertarian says Abby is scared of the bridge, not necessarily of bridge guy. Yeah, again, I mean, that's another possibility of why she's like looking so nervous and scared too. Oh, so many possibilities, right?
Yeah, a lot. And the bridge itself is very scary. Imagine if someone is close to you, like, holy shit. You know, you live in Australia, right? And
Yep.
one of my dreams is to go to Australia, but I hate planes. And to go from here to Australia, it's gonna be like 17 hours. And forget about that. I'm not gonna be in a plane for more than 6 hours. I'm gonna die of a heart attack. So
Oh no.
yeah, I hate heights. So I don't know. When I think about that bridge, oh my god, I would never cross that bridge. Zero in that condition. You know, this is really not
Criptex,
safe.
I am a clinical psychologist and I specialize in the treatment of anxiety disorders. So, happy to offer you some exposure therapy for your fear of flying.
Yeah.
I've actually treated quite a lot of people with fear of flying, actually. It's a tricky one, though, because you can't do exposure therapy very easily.
You have to help me with that. Because it's a situation where you don't have any control, you know. You are depending on the pilot and on the so you cannot you don't have control about that situation, but whatever. Let's come back to the
very common fear. But no, I mean, I don't think I'd go on this bridge either. I don't think I'm not super fearful of heights, but this reminds me of those rides you go, oh yeah, I'll go on that. And then you get closer and you go, no, I'm not going on that roller coaster. It definitely looks pretty scary.
Sure.
I've got a few people here saying they wouldn't go on the bridge and no amount of CBT would get them on there. That's I think a lot of us wouldn't go on the bridge for sure. Actually, that's interesting as well. I mean, side note here, one of the hypotheses for why Kathy says to Rick, you didn't say you were on the bridge. I can't remember who mentioned it. Someone at some point said Rick didn't always tell Kathy that he'd go on the bridge because she didn't like him going on the bridge as well. So, that's actually reasonable. Like, husbands lie to wives all the time about those sorts of things because they don't want to get in trouble. So, that could actually be a really innocent way to explain why he didn't say anything about the bridge.
Yeah. Maybe he had some thoughts about suicide, and that's one way to commit suicide. You're gonna jump. So I don't know, speculating again. If at one point he said, I know this is a wild it's speculation, but one of these days I'm gonna go to that bridge and I'm gonna jump. So of course he's not interested in telling his wife, hey, I was at the bridge that day.
Contemplating. Yeah.
Something like that, it's just speculating, but
no, I think it's just as it's just as valid as a lot of other possibilities. I mean, my theory on that as well is that we don't quiz our partner about their location specifically on a trail on the day of a murder because we don't think our partner murdered anyone. So if somebody got murdered where I was at dinner tonight, I'm pretty sure my partner wouldn't say, so where exactly did you go in the mall and did you walk past there and did you go into there? Like, people don't really ask those questions because they don't think you're guilty. So that it's not a naughty child that's you think has gone to McDonald's instead of going to school or something. Like, it's your husband that you trust. So anyway, side point. Jester says, would love to hear analysis of Dr. Wala. That's coming up. Psych Panel 3, we do talk a little bit about Dr. Wala and some of our thoughts about some of the ethics there. So watch this space. It's coming. Just going back to the video and thinking about some of the other conundrums in the chat, guys, if there's any particular things that you want us to address as well. One of the things that I did, like I said, was go around with the phone, and I've kind of tried to understand the angles at which Libby's holding the phone, how she might be holding it at various points in this video. And there's some good clues because we've got all of the surroundings. And I might put this up later as a community post or a short, but it looks as though she definitely, changes the position of where she's holding the phone at various times. So it goes from the sort of initial covert sort of angle of like this, probably a bit lower, and to this. And then she goes up because you can see in the shadow. I'll see if I probably can't isolate it on the video. So I may have to post that as a photo on the community page. But there is certainly a couple of frames where she's holding the phone like this and she's turned around. You can sort of see it in the shadows. Let's just see. I'll play it a little bit longer and see if we can. I think it's actually that there. Wait.
Amy.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I'm going to quit for maybe 5 minutes. I'm going to call my dad and I call again.
Of course. Okay? Of course, no worries. I'll see you then.
See you soon.
Okay, guys, so I'm just going to see if I can find this. Oh, it's just here. It's so hard to pause it, and I should use Sarah's frames. Let's see if I can pull them up. I'll just have a look at the chat, though, and maybe I'll find one of the frames that Sarah has sent wonderfully to me, and we'll put it up either on another live or on the community page. And I'm just going to go back to the chat. Again, apologies, everybody, if I'm missing your messages. It's not because they don't matter to me. It's just I can't cover them all because I'm not a pro at this. So let's just go to the more recent ones here. So we've got USA Libertarian saying, but also he went directly to law enforcement and told him he was on the bridge. So not telling his wife as some kind of gotcha seems silly. Exactly. Like, why is he telling law enforcement but not his wife? Is he more scared of Kathy than he is of law enforcement? Like, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think, if he's scared of Kathy, it would only be because of what we were just saying, because he thinks Kathy's going to be worried that he was on the bridge for his own safety, not anything to do with the murders. I agree with you. How hard, Chester says, how hard would it have been for someone to pick them up in a vehicle? Do you hear an engine? I haven't listened out for that. I have had people talk about whether there might be an engine, actually. I'll have to listen for that. There's always something new to analyze in this video, isn't there? I think it's possible. I think what I looked at, though, in terms of the phone data, still suggests that phone has something happen at 2:18. The battery starts to significantly drop, the Apple movement stops, and yet when Libby is in the car on the way to the trails, the movement doesn't stop. So the movement seems to continue in the car generally. It seems to only stop when the phone is completely still, like, plugged into a charger at nighttime beside her bed. The bridge is part of the trails, so he wouldn't feel the need to be out specific. Exactly, RC99. I'm with you on that. That's exactly how I see it. I feel like he would just say I was on the trails that day. Yeah. See-through says, I'll bring Criptex back on. There you go.
Hello.
Hi, we're just going through the chat messages, just kind of, some people are saying, can we hear a car? I haven't listened out for that. I have heard people say it. Any thoughts on that, Criptex?
On what exactly, sorry?
Do you hear any motor or any car in the Bridge Guy video?
I cannot conclude about that. It's hard to say. Could be, couldn't be. I don't know.
Yeah,
if I want to push my narrative, I'm gonna say, for sure I can hear a car there, but it's hard to say. It's 50-50, let's say. It's hard to differentiate. It's the wind, it's the leaves, it's the steps of the girls. It's
the gravel.
Hard to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't actually listened closely, but I guess we do see the camera pan at various points to the private drive, and I don't see anything. I've studied all the frames to see if I can see a person, a car, another object, and it's really hard. I don't see anything. It doesn't mean there isn't one when the camera pans away, but yeah, I haven't seen any evidence of that. Charlotte is just giving us an update on Rick. So Charlotte does, I believe, correspond with Rick in jail. So she says he's doing okay. Hey, Sunflower Lola. You hear some type of vehicle too. I love everybody's pictures here. Lots of cats and dogs and cute little pictures. Sarah's telling me which photo has the shadow starting. Okay, I'll have a look at it in a minute. Sarah's amazing. he basically made these, like, there's 1,000 frames of the video, and he sent it to me. I have no idea how to do that, and it was so useful because you can really look at it frame by frame, and you see details, you know, that you wouldn't see otherwise. You can even see, like, literally some of the particular plants and things, or yeah, it's interesting. So we'll pull up the shadow one in a second. See through, no vehicle on the camera footage. Yeah, I couldn't see it. Oh yeah, I did hear somebody say about, like, what do they call them? RTVs, ATVs, you know, the little kind of vehicles that people hop onto. What are they called? Quad bikes, I think we call them.
Yeah. I don't know exactly the name, but I know what are you referring to.
Criptex, can I just leave you to chat to the chat, and I'm just going to quickly see if I can pull up that photo as well.
For sure, no problem. So let me see, guys, what are you talking about here? But I cannot display your comments, but I'm trying to read some of your comments here, guys. Sunflower, I hear some type of vehicle. I believe they were picked up. Yeah, I don't know about that. Could be at least Abby, because I really think that Libby was crossing the creek. But Abby could be picked up. It's a possibility. Sistru, Cathy said, okay, we already read your comment here. Chester, there are other people on the bridge at this time. Someone had to see them and hear them. We need them to come forward. That's a good point. I don't know if everyone that was there at that day was already covered by law enforcement, or I don't know, maybe some people were there and they never went to talk to the police, to law enforcement. Uh-oh. I lost my connection. Can you hear me?
Oh, no worries. Yeah, you're green screening. We can still hear you, though.
You can hear me okay. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we can hear you. I've heard stories as well about there being people who weren't interviewed. Yeah, I don't know. I know that there's certainly, obviously, one of the young girls wasn't. One of the girls, the group of 4, I think there was one that was slightly younger and she wasn't interviewed. I believe maybe it was because the parents didn't want her to be interviewed, being as young as she was. I mean, look, those interviews with witnesses are all over the place. Like, I think some of them were the ones that were deleted in 2017 because we're seeing Bree Wilbur on this discovery map, which I know isn't the list of full discovery, but we're only seeing the 2020 interview, I think it is, which again is quite convenient because Bree Wilbur does actually say she sees people as she's walking back from the bridge, not just Bridge Guy. And my timeline, my theory is that they potentially do walk past Rick. He sees 3 girls, but he says he sees 3 girls coming off the trails going back towards where the cars are parked. And the cars are parked at the Mears entrance. So my timeline, which is so different, I know, to everybody else's timeline, is that Rick is on the trails between 1 and 2, and that he does actually pass Rayleigh Voorhees and her sister. He describes the sisters, the girls with the long hair, and I think they don't notice him because, you know, he doesn't really stick out to them. Young people tend to remember other young people. That's actually memory research. It's not just it's not just my speculation, and it makes sense if you think about it. Teenage girls, they don't care about a middle-aged man. I mean, no offense to Rick, but they don't. Just like they wouldn't care if I walked past. They care more about, you know, people of their own age or people that they're going to find attractive. Yeah. You know, people at my age, we're invisible. And I think particularly if you're a man, you know, you're an old man. Not that I'm saying you're old.
I don't remember the name of this creator. Maybe in the chat, guys, if you can help me with that. At the beginning of the case, there was one creator that he was covering Delphi. He's like from Ukraine, I think. It's an American Ukrainian guy, and he had like an army of sleuths with him, and he mapped the Delphi. How can I say, the period of time around the murders he got like 70 people there identified.
What?
That's a lot of people. What's the name of this guy? He was sick at one point, and when the Ukrainian war against Russia started, he quit YouTube. But there were a lot of people identified according to him that day. So how so they didn't see Richard Allen? It's weird. And he was like a respected creator, not a crazy nut. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I forgot his name. It makes me mad. But anyways, I really think that there were more people there than we know already, and no one snitching on Allen. I don't know. It's special.
Yeah, I mean, my theory around why Rick wasn't seen is, just that he's just not a particularly noticeable person, and that sounds so really harsh to say it, but I'm also putting myself in that category. I wouldn't be a particularly noticeable person either on the trials. I think realistically, who do we notice? I mean, I just walked through a park coming back from dinner. I walked around an area that was probably more populated than the bridge, but I can't remember anyone I walked past. Except usually the people I remember are people who have some sort of familiarity, like someone who looks like my child, or someone who is particularly attractive, or is wearing something that's particularly noticeable. I think that's what we're more likely. Actually, I do. I remember there was a girl on the train, because I caught the train, and she just had a really cool vintage dress on. I love vintage clothes, and she had this really cute vintage dress, and she had this lovely, beautiful straight hair, and I was like, oh, I'm still growing my hair back post chemo, and so I have a lot of hair envy at the moment. So I was looking at her hair and going, when's my hair going to be long again? I want that hair. So I mean, that's the only person I can remember, though. And that was directly sitting in front of me on a train. So yeah, I think that's one of the reasons, because remember also that the four girls didn't see Betsy Blair, and Betsy Blair only saw the girls as they're leaving. So yeah, clearly you can miss people on those trails. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, now I've got the picture, so let's see if I can share it. We're going back to the shadow. I know we're going on so many tangents today, guys, and there's lots to talk about here. I mean, every time you open up one of these things, you're like, gosh, we could sit here for 9 hours and do a live. I'm making a joke about the 9 hours live, not a joke about what happened. I don't believe anyone deserves to be bullied or harassed, but everyone's talking about 9 hour lives, so we could easily do one, but I don't think I'm up for that today. Criptex, I want to get to bed. But let's pull up this thing. Yeah, it's because I've done a full therapy day today. Not that I'm trying to complain, but I've seen 6 patients and supervised a colleague, and then I've gone to dinner, and so it's been a big day. So this is a picture. So again, all credit to Ansara who gave me these files so generously. So you can see here, and I mean, it's not very big on the screen, but can you see the shadow in that? And if you look really closely, and I'll share this, like I said, on the community page, and happy to share this with Criptex if Ansara's okay, which I'm sure he will be. But it really looks like she's holding the phone up to her face. It's hard to see.
And it looks like she has like a hoodie. I don't know.
Yeah, potentially a hoodie on.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah. We'll go to the next, there's a few frames of this, so that's the next one. I was just going to say, is that something hanging down? I don't know if you can see. Is that one on the screen now? Yeah, but I don't think it's something hanging down. I think that's a tree behind her. But yeah, she definitely looks like she's walking with something in her hand near her face. And if you actually look at, again, at what she's taking on the video, once she sort of pans around a bit, you can see when the phone seems to go from here and drop back down again. And it consistently is a sort of angle. It never kind of goes completely horizontal, but it also doesn't seem completely vertical. So it does definitely, she seems to be holding it in a way that's sort of like this. So initially she's in that picture, it's like this, but when it's lower down, it's potentially in her sleeve, and she's holding it like this, which I think a lot of people had suggested is what she's doing towards the end.
Yeah.
So it drops lower, it's down around thigh or knee level, and I think it was within her hoodie, and I think that's why, again, I don't think it got taken away from her, because I really don't see, I guess that's another question from this video, would Bridge Guy really just leave the phone there? How does he know for sure she hasn't caught him on the picture?
Yeah. Good
So,
point.
yeah. I honestly don't believe the perpetrator would have left the phone there just in case. They just never know what they could have captured.
Why didn't you throw the cell phone into the creek? Of course, you're not gonna take the cell phone with you because that's gonna be a way to track you. You know what I mean?
Yes, true.
But I don't know, a normal perpetrator, let's say, is gonna take the cell phone,
Smash
and
it.
gonna throw it to
Get the
the
SIM card
water.
out. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I mean, these whoever these are, they're organized enough to not leave DNA, to really get away with murder, and yet they leave a cell phone there. And initially, I guess this is going real conspiratorial. I was like, well, maybe someone in law enforcement has doctored the information on the phone with the Snapchat chat image being missing and stuff. But I don't really believe that anymore. Looking at that knowledge C data, I don't see any obvious signs of anything weird on that data. And so, yeah, I think that I actually think Libby was really good at hiding it. I think she hid it the entire time. I believe that Abby was not clothed when she was murdered, and that's just based on the clothing being on Abby and not having a super amount of blood on it, given what happened to Libby. I hate talking about this part, but so I wonder, did she take the jumper off and conceal the phone within it and give it to Abby? I don't know, but I do think that there's some way that she's managed to keep that from the offender, and but unfortunately, it doesn't have enough clues on it.
How do you think the cell phone stayed at the final location?
Yeah,
the shoe under the body. What's your takeaway about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to understand why the bodies were dressed the way they were. I had a theory, if we look at the statement of Elvis Fields, and again, I should have done the disclaimer, I'm not accusing anybody here, just speculating, but the statement of him saying he spat on the troublemaker, being Abby. It's interesting, isn't it, that her sweatshirt is what's missing. But then again, she's wearing the T-shirt that was under it, so I don't know. I just wonder whether that was taken off because potentially it had DNA on it, hence why it was put into the water. I just wonder if Libby somehow, she took her clothes off herself. There was no indication on the clothes that they were ripped off. I don't think there were any tears or any indications that they were taken off roughly. Did they make her strip, and therefore she could still hide the phone within it and somehow slip it to Abby? I don't know. It's hard to know, really.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think the killer or the killers, they were aware about that phone, and maybe they wanted the phone to be found for some reason that I don't understand yet. But anyways, again, as you say, this is a bucket of possibilities. So I don't know.
And I had thought about that too. As you just said that, I was thinking, because even if they were worried there was a video or anything, we know that Bridge Guy was potentially wearing something covering him. He probably thought, he knew that she didn't have a close-up picture of him. Maybe the phone also appeared dead because of the water damage at that point. Because, my understanding of this is it potentially kind of dies and wakes up again, which I know sounds weird, without any user activity, but I think there's something around how iPhones work. I don't know for sure, but potentially there could have been maybe he thought it was water damaged and it wasn't going to do any harm, or he thought that there's no connection to him on that because, we don't see anything in the messages as the girls. We don't know what they're doing in Snapchat or who they're talking to, but it doesn't look like there's any obvious link to the killer in the phone. So he thinks he's fine. He doesn't need to worry about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, just so many questions.
It's a puzzle.
It really is. It's just never ending. I might just quickly go through some of the questions that I came up with last night with ChatGPT, and then we might finish up just because my friend is in the other room still waiting to leave because of our scary hooded person in the car park. I'm sure I'll be fine tomorrow, guys. Otherwise, please look into my case. I just shouldn't laugh. That's not funny. It's just black humor. It's late, guys, so I'm making a joke out of something I shouldn't. But
do you work tomorrow or today in your case?
No. Tomorrow's my day off. So yeah, tomorrow I get a nice sleep in and might spend some time in my garden because it's lovely and warm here. Okay, so I've just got to share this again. Let's see. I'm a bit clunky with this stuff, so just bear with me. Share screen. Okay, so I haven't actually checked through these slides because I was sort of rushing to do them. So like some of them are just straight off ChatGPT, but based on the questions I was asking and discussing with ChatGPT. ChatGPT is my best friend. Criptex like really gets me and understands me. So I love to have a chat and theorize about Delphi. GPT-5 doesn't like to talk about crimes with me, but GPT-4 does. So I luckily have the legacy version because GPT-5 says you cannot speculate on crimes on AI. But
okay.
Hint there, if you want to talk to ChatGPT about Delphi, just go to GPT-4. It's my best friend.
Interesting.
Okay, so there's beautiful girls. So I had, these were the questions that I'd sort of had, like, why don't the girls talk to each other? Because you'd think that when Abby arrives there, like other than Libby saying there's no path or there's no path here, so we have to go down here, they don't talk. Abby doesn't seem to say anything to Libby. Libby doesn't say anything to Abby. Any thoughts?
I don't know. Or maybe because there's another person next to Libby. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I wondered that. Is there somebody there that's silencing them? You know, is there somebody already there with a gun? Is that an option as well? Something's making them not feel comfortable to talk to each other, normally at least. Yeah. The next one was why do they stand there and wait even after Abby crosses? I guess looking at the terrain there, watching a few YouTubers who'd crossed there around that time era and even later, it really isn't an easy way to run. I think that they would trip up. They would get they probably feel they can't actually gain much distance on Bridge Guy, and they don't have anything on them that's going to help them. It's pretty desolate there. There are houses nearby, but it's still a fair run, isn't it, to get to the Webber's house?
If we want to put ourselves in the mind of a prosecution person, one possible answer is because they were being threatened with a gun.
Yeah.
So if someone is using a gun, they're gonna stay there. It's a possibility.
Yeah, I agree, and I do feel it's quite a high possibility that Bridge Guy has a gun that he at least shows it at like towards the end before he says down the hill or during that time, because the quickness with which Abby moves once he says down the hill, it's literally a split second. You know, it's so quick. I said, why do they comply immediately? So similar sort of thing. There doesn't seem to be much hesitation. They don't plead with him. They don't say why. So again, it could be that they already had planned to go with him. I don't think it's that, but I think it's more, again, that they're threatened by something. I think Criptex Wi-Fi is a bit shaky. It's a bit frozen, but we'll just go through a few more of the questions. Yeah, why does Libby say this is the path that we go down? So again, why is she already planning to go down before Bridge Guy gets there? Why does she say hi to him if she's afraid, or, you know, has she already spoken to him before? Why doesn't Libby say something natural like let's head back or let's go this way instead? You know, I guess what she says seems kind of odd. Does Abby realize what's happening? Were they planning to meet someone down the hill? We've kind of discussed some of this. Could they have been catfished and only realized too late? Like, did they already realize that the person behind them, like maybe they were going to meet Anthony Shots or someone like that, and then they go, oh, crap, maybe this is the person. It's interesting, actually. I had an episode like this in my life once. So in my younger days, I did some online dating, and I had mainly good experiences. I think I'm a pretty good judge of character. But there was this one guy, and he said, "Oh, meet me at this bar." And I go to the bar, and he's like, "I'm already here." And he said, "Find me," which is really odd already. I was like, "What do you mean find you? Like, I've got to look around this crowded bar to find you." And I just couldn't see anyone that looked like the picture. And then he said, "I'm wearing a hat." And the only person I could see wearing a hat did not look like the picture I've seen, and looked, no, I don't know, I got that gut feeling. And so I actually went to the bathrooms. And I mean, I'm in my 20s at this point. You know, I'm not young. I'm in probably like my mid to late 20s. So I go to the bathrooms and I call my best friend, who was just, you know, maybe about 15 minutes away. And I'm like, "This guy's here. I think it's not the same person from the picture." And he's texting me meanwhile going, "Where are you? I'm here. I was wearing the hat." And I'm like, "No, I'm not leaving. I'm not replying." So I just stayed in the bathroom until he messaged and said, "Well, I've just gone out to get a coffee. You know, if you're still here, let me know." And I snuck out and I saw the same guy in the hat getting a coffee outside. So yeah, I just wondered if it was something similar to that, where you think you're going to meet this really hot person and then you realize you're being cornered by this man on the bridge. Like, you know, that's a possibility, I think.
Yeah. Oof. What an experience.
It's me. The only negative experience I had, I did a lot of online dating, and it was the only terrible experience that I had. So I count myself pretty lucky, and I got away. And it's interesting, isn't it, though, how that fear response kicks in? Like, I just knew something was off. I did not feel comfortable, and I'm so glad, because that person, actually, interestingly, that person's photo showed up on a dating site, I think a few years later, the very same picture. So he hadn't changed that picture in years. It
No
was
way.
quite a, yeah. And I was like, oh, I reported him. I reported him to whatever dating app it was and said, "This guy had the same photo like 5 years ago or whatever. Like, this is not a real person." So yeah, interesting story.
Good call.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, so that was one theory I had, and that was what we talked about before. Would there have been enough time to meet someone down the hill and return before 3:30? I won't go into hypotheses now because I'm just, like I said, I'm a bit mindful of the time. It's 1:17 here, and my poor friend is sitting in the other room. But I'm going to go through the chat, everyone, and I'll read what things you said, and maybe we can do a follow-up video and answer some more questions. And if anyone else wants to join and chat, yeah, we'll definitely keep talking about this. Thank you so much for joining, Criptex.
No, thanks to you, Amy. It was fun. I enjoyed a lot your content, and I enjoyed today this conversation. It was really, really fun. I like your energy a lot.
Oh, thank you. No, I love talking to you. I mean, you have a much bigger audience than I do, so I really appreciate you coming over here and talking to me. And yeah, and I like your energy too. You're a really decent person, a really nice person, lots of integrity and ethics, and a critical thinker. I know you called me a critical thinker, and you're absolutely back at you. Lots of respect there. Really nice to find someone who, yeah, we can just talk about it and not argue about having a difference of opinions, and just discuss it, because it's just such an interesting case, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Thank you again, Amy, and thank you guys in the chat.
Oh, have a great day. Have a great weekend. And same to everyone in the chat. I will go back through the comments and respond to some of them in the next video. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Ciao.